Encounter is brought to you by the Broome County Council of Churches, where we connect compassion with needs as we inspire growth with dignity. You'll find us in special places throughout the community. For those who remain hungry, we provide meals. For those who are challenged, we build wheelchair ramps. We comfort those who are ill, minister to those who are confined, and we remain an advocate for change and understanding on behalf of every element of our community. Connect and inspire. Encounter the Broome County Council of Churches.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to the Encounter program, sponsored by the Broome County Council of Churches. I'm your host, Mark Kimpland, the pastor at the Endwell United Methodist Church. I get excited when new ministries emerge. In the midst of the difficulties within denominations and faiths and churches, there are still glimpses of hope. And there is resurrection and new ministries happen. And today we are going to highlight one of those ministries, which is a new Hispanic ministry that is being housed at the Endwell United Methodist Church. And I have with us today two of the faithful members of the core team of this Hispanic ministry. To my direct right is Will Stafford. Will, welcome to the program. And to his right is Sanjay Solomon, who is also the leader of the core group. So welcome to the Encounter program.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here, and let's roll up our sleeves and get at this thing, because this is exciting. Let's start here. Let's start first with some of the history. What has brought us to this time? We're in WB&G studios right now, but back in 2019, somebody had an idea. So can kind of both of you kind of just share a little bit of the history from how that germinated to where you are now. We are taping this just days before the official launch of this ministry. Will, do you want to start us down that road?
Well, I wasn't there in the beginning in 2019, but I was brought on board in the summer of 2020, so I guess it's 3 years now. I was invited by a fellow church member who has since passed on. She invited me, I think because I'm a Spanish teacher, and I was a member of the church. She thought I might serve as a translator, which is effectively what I am. I'm a translator. I'm also the treasurer of the group. And it was right in the midst of COVID, so I suddenly had a lot of free time on my hands, whereas I'd been incredibly busy before. And I met previous pastor before the current pastors and got involved with a small group. There was about 4 of us on the team. And it slowly has built and then built up. And then Sanjay got involved about a year later.
So Sanjay, what about your involvement? What got you involved in all of this, and what is your history then with the Hispanic ministry?
Will happened to call me.
It's great to have friends, isn't it? Yes, yes.
And he said, he could use, some of my experiences. So I said, okay. It was an immediate decision, and I said, okay. And now we're all excited about the launch, which is happening.
Yes, yes. We are filming this prior to the launch, but the air date will be after the actual launch that we're going to have on July 15th and such. So here we are. We've had a previous experience. It was kind of a soft launch. Can you just speak a little bit about that with Pastor Jose and such things, as some of the history and such things that's brought us to this? Because that's one of the things that I love about ministry is you start it, it might stop, it might go in a different direction, then you start it again and move in a different direction, and kind of where we are. What was the preliminary focus then with Pastor Jose and such things? With
Pastor Jose, the preliminary focus was to start a Hispanic ministry, which is effectively what we're doing still. And Pastor Jose was commuting to the Binghamton area from Syracuse.
Yes.
So he was coming and staying for 3 or 4 days a week, and he was going out into the community and meeting families. There are lots of Hispanic families in the area, far more than people are aware of, but they're not necessarily a tight-knit group. They're not a monolith. There are about 20 different nationalities of Latinos. So you have Mexicans, Venezuelans, people from Puerto Rico, people from South America, and people sometimes get the idea that they're all a united group, but they really aren't. Right. So Pastor Jose really focused on outreach, getting to know the community, and then he started to have a congregation at our church. But then he decided to move in a new direction. He had been advising a group of Cuban truck drivers, actually, on Zoom. he ended up becoming a truck driver himself. So he's doing that, and as far as I know, he's still working with that area.
Yes, yeah.
And then Pastors Antonio and Georgina from Utica were brought on board. I'm not sure exactly when that happened.
Okay.
There was a slowdown. There was a period for about a year where the Hispanic ministry did go kind of quiet for a while.
Yep.
And I had been wondering, is it going to pick back up?
Yes.
And unfortunately, it is.
Yeah. But there were seeds that were planted,
Yes.
which is wonderful. And Pastor Antonio, Pastor Gina do come to us, and I know, Sanjay, this is kind of one of your strengths with the support, equipment empowered by the Upper New York Conference of the United Methodist Church. Can you kind of speak to that and where the district superintendent and bishop may be in the midst of all of this?
So when we got Pastor Gina and Pastor Antonio on board, we did do a presentation to the district superintendent at that time of Binghamton District, and then we also did a presentation to the new DS, Campbell, and the bishop also has that information. DS Carlos of Niagara Frontier is the person who's the point person at the conference level. And so we are heavily supported by the conference as to whatever our needs are and in what different mission fields we envision, which is actually already has been implemented. And one of the things is to build personal relationships. That's the key element of this ministry with the families. That is important.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the base of what we're doing. Yeah. One of the things, this is kind of very near and dear to me because when I was appointed 10 years to come to this place called Endwell and serve as the senior pastor that United Methodist Church, our district superintendent was Reverend David Masland. And I remember the night that I met the church for the very first time, he took me aside and said, one of my goals for you is that the Endwell United Methodist Church will be instrumental in launching a new ministry. And so this is kind of the fulfillment of a dream that was even before the core group, that was even before all of that in the eyes of Dave Masland, who was the director of the New Faith Communities and such things. Friends, I'm here with Will Stafford and Sanjay Solomon, who are a part of the core team for a brand new Hispanic ministry being launched here in the Southern Tiers. Tell me about this core team. It's a nice catchword and such things. Tell me what work has been done. What is their process? What are their responsibilities? Because what's exciting to me is that we have conference support that then it comes down to the district, that now comes down to the local church, that now comes down to the core team. So can you kind of tell me your involvement and how that has all emerged in the process here?
Well, since the pastors living in Utica and they only come every few weeks, we generally have a weekly Zoom meeting Tuesday evenings, kind of late at night at 8 because we're busy and that's the only time we're free. And we generally touch base then. I usually translate. Occasionally I'm not available and then they just have to fend for themselves in English. Fortunately, their English is good enough they can get by.
Yeah.
But we usually have a fairly short meeting, 20 to 30 minutes, just to 20 to 30 minutes, just to touch base and see where we are and where we're planning to move to.
Great,
So.
great. What can you, I've, like you, admire Pastor Antonio, his work in Utica. Will most likely, because of his passion and his relationship with Jesus, is going to do the same in this area. But Sanjay, can you kind of share a little bit of the background of Pastor Antonio and Pastor Gina and their work that they're doing in Utica that we're hoping to duplicate here?
Yes, Pastor Antonio has got a Methodist background from Cuba. Yeah, and so he worked for the Methodist Church in Cuba, as well as his wife, who's a pastor. Their belief is to meet with people individually. I have visited their services in Utica, and from 1 or 2 people, now they have about 60 to 70 people. That vision is was here, we still can build on it, because I remember I was not available that Saturday, but Will and Pastor Jose and all did a community event in the Endicott district, Endicott, New York area, and they ended up having about 100+ people at this event. So there are people there.
There are, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a birthday party for a little girl who she was turning 2, but they sort of used that as a reason to have a big get together.
Sure.
And it was very nice. It
Yes.
was at
Yes.
one of the people's house, and they were about 80 to 100 people, and then there were, like I said, many different nationalities, all Hispanics. I did a little juggling show for them, and it was really nice. And Pastor Jose actually did face painting, and his daughter helped out.
Okay.
And, it was really nice, and it was kind of eye-opening to see there really are a lot of Latinos in this area that
Yes.
really are a tight-knit group when they get together.
And how did the word get out about that? In knowing that they at times might be isolated within the community and such things, how were they drawn? What was the communication to those families to be there at that time and in that moment?
At that time, Pastor Jose, his wife, and his son and daughter were meeting with families. Every time they came to Endwell, they would go into the homes of the families and meet, and they spread the word that way.
Okay.
And they use WhatsApp a lot as a really good tool to stay connected with each other.
Yes.
And keep aware of events and things that are coming up.
Yeah. Well, that's a great segue. You've been at this a while, a few years, and planting seeds and retooling, going in different directions and such things. What's been the biggest challenges? What do you see? What has been the biggest challenge to this ministry, and what do you see down the road as the biggest challenges to this ministry so that it does flourish?
I think the biggest challenge is to get the word out there, and that's what our priority is at this time. I have seen Pastor Antonio and his wife operate, like if we're at a dinner or even at a hotel here where they stayed, they've invited people right there. They've asked even you, Pastor Mark, for your business card. So it's one-on-one, just talking to total strangers. And one of the families from the hotel, they have started to come. So they recognized me when I was there for worship, and their daughter, and so it is word of mouth, and that's the way they're doing it.
There is one, perhaps the biggest obstacle I see is that sometimes Hispanics feel a little reluctance to come to a church. They tend to prefer to have meetings in their homes. And I think there's various reasons for that. I think one of the biggest reasons may be partly because sometimes they're not legal residents yet. So if they're undocumented, they have a little bit of fear about going out in public, which is understandable. But also I think the Hispanic way is typically more home-oriented. Yeah, which is a little bit different from us, where we like to congregate together in a church. So we've had fairly low attendance from the Hispanic community, unfortunately, so far. But I think that will change as they make connections and meet people.
So what is, as you both are here today, what is your vision? If we get back 2 years from now and we catch up with each other here on set, what is your hope and the vision for this ministry? Knowing it may be very different than that's what's always amazed me about ministry. I've got Pastor Mark's plan, and then God takes it and makes it into something else that I never even fathomed before. So what is, at least looking at first blush, what's your hope and vision?
My hope and vision would be that we have a core group of Hispanics that come out to the meetings. They typically have it on Saturday nights, 6 p.m. at our church, Endwell United Methodist Church, and to have a group of 20 to 30, 40, perhaps even 50 members come out, a core group of congregations that come regularly and that they feel like they're a cohesive group.
Yeah.
That's what I would like to see.
Yeah. Sanjay, what about you?
I see the potential growth happening just by seeing what is happening in Utica, New York,
Yes.
as well as in Amsterdam, New York. since we don't have anything like this reaching out to people, we have different missions which we are telling the people we would help their children in education. We would help, their for getting documentation and everything else. The Upper New York Conference is very passionate about all of these things. And so since we're getting that support and we know that it will open up and we will add, I also, like Will touched on, I would like maybe perhaps some people to eventually be part of the core team and be part of the people who will then eventually we can hand off and they can take ownership of running or operating this event.
Friends, we are blessed today on the Encounter program to have Sanjay Solomon and Will Stafford, who are a part of the core team of a brand new Hispanic ministry that is launching in this area. It launched on July 15th and is going to continue to grow and such, and then that's just very, very, that's very exciting stuff. One of the things too is you're talking about your vision and all of that, about having them come to a place and such things, because the other thing too is it would be great if both of those ideas, meeting in homes during the week when Pastor Antonio and all isn't here, if that can kind of emerge together and then kind of bring them, to bring them all together. What excites you about this? What gets you out of bed about being on the core team and seeing this Hispanic ministry flourish? What excites you about it? You could be doing 45 different other things.
Yeah.
But you chose this.
Yeah. Well, for me, being a Spanish teacher for the past 28 years at Shenango Valley Middle School and High School, I've always felt a little disconnected from a Hispanic community. I have always had a few friends I have a close friend from Colombia and Puerto Rico, but I haven't really used it as part of my career. And it's kind of interesting because before I became a teacher, I had set out to be a translator or interpreter. I thought maybe I would be a translator at the UN or something like that. And I kind of put that on the back burner. And I said, okay, I'm going to be a teacher. But now I've come full circle, and I am using my translating skills. So that kind of, I feel connected. I feel like I have a purpose. I mean, not that I didn't have a purpose as a teacher, of course, but I feel like, this is right. I feel like I'm where I should be, and I really enjoy translating, especially in church when the Hispanics came. And at first, we were going to use a predictive text where Pastor Antonio would preach, and it would be, and the translation would come on the screen, and of course that wasn't working.
Yeah, of course.
And actually, I told Pastor Antonio our plan to use that.
Yes.
And he said, "Well, I actually hope that doesn't work because I would much rather have you translate." Yes. And it really is much more powerful, and much better to have a human connection, as opposed to technology. So
no doubt.
Yeah,
and you do a great job with
that.
Thank you. Throughout this process, when people have heard you translate who do, as they say, muddle through Spanish, they were very impressed with how you do it, with the inflection, that kind of mimicking that.
I try to portray it the same way, present it the same way the pastor does. So,
So. Sanjay, what about you? What gets you up in the morning about this ministry and such and thing that you find exciting?
It's just that it's a planter church. I enjoy the aspect of planter churches, so to speak, and the support which not only the congregation of Endwell United Methodist, but also Broome County Council of Churches, which is also behind us as well with Dr. Joe Selapak. So we've got the resources, local resources here. And so I sense we're not alone. Yeah. We have people behind us, and that's very exciting that we can at least move forward and we can ask for help. And that is the key thing. And I enjoy doing that, is trying to reach out and connecting people so that way things can go smoothly.
It takes a village.
It takes a village.
It takes a village, no doubt. One of the other things too that I want to touch on, of course, it's the idea of a new church start and spreading the word and people inviting people, and it's exciting and such things. But also this ministry is also incorporating, Sanjay, you touched on it just a few moments ago, basic needs. of food insecurity and all of those other things. Can you just speak a little bit more about that? I think that's important because that's the one-on-one relationship. How can we help? How can we serve you? Can you go just a little bit deeper as to what we're doing and plan to do in the future along those areas?
What we're doing in the food aspect, Endwell does have, is a resource for the Elmira Food Bank truck to come. We do have Hispanic people coming to the church, but we don't have people who understand Spanish. They do not speak English. So hopefully we will have volunteers from the Hispanic community to come to Endwell and be part of a resource team. The other thing is to reach out to teach English to people. We have those resources in the Binghamton and Broome County area. So that is very much, people have already reached out, and so we are also driving different things, helping people get jobs in the area, so that they can, move forward. The children tend to hesitate to even reach the guidance counselor in our elementary, middle, or high school. So we do have an educational resource where they're comfortable talking to us.
So it's really about the whole person.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, all of that we're trying to make sure that we we get to.
Yeah. It often is initially the first contact with the community is with the food outreach. That they come on Mondays for the Lord's table, and that's increasing all the time. And we know there's quite a good percentage of that are Hispanic as well. Yeah, and like Sanjay said, many of them don't really have strong English skills, so that we do need people to help translate. Hopefully we'll get people from the community that will come on board and help us with that. We do have a few, we have Lorena that helps us out.
Yes. Which is a great segue. There are folks that are watching this program maybe for the first time or maybe for decades, but just learning about this Hispanic ministry and who might be getting excited about what they're hearing, didn't know about it. What would be your suggestion to them to either assist or help, or what would you recommend for them to be a part of, whatever it is in such things?
We have a new team member on our core team, Jill, who used to be a Spanish teacher. And when she heard about this ministry, she said, I'm interested in being part of the core team. Actually, while sitting here and talking about, the food bank and everything, I was thinking now to reach out to Jill to see if, she could volunteer to register people, because they have to be registered.
Yes.
So we are having people who are excited about this, who have the talent, but may not know that they may be needed in certain aspects of different ministries, so to speak.
So people who do speak the language then, especially, we need those gifts and such things. Now, what about the person that's watching this that doesn't have that, that just would love to reach out to maybe immerse in a different culture, a different need in this area, because there is a need for this. Are there certain things that you can think of that in ways they might be able to help or serve or assist in some way?
Well, when Will is not there, and all of us, as Will said, we all speak English, so we have Google Translate.
Yes.
So it does it immediately. You speak into it, and it will translate, so we can communicate that way. So we're always on our phones and talking to people and everything else. And when I send emails or notifications, they're always in 2 languages. And I have the office tools to do the translation for me. So I just copy and put it on there.
It's a gift. Modern technology.
It's amazing.
Yes, it is. It is absolutely amazing. What about monetary gifts? If people say this, I may not want to roll up my sleeves and be a part of what you're doing, but I'd love to support that. How would you? You're the treasurer of the group, as I understand. I guess I'm talking to the right guy. How would you encourage? Because that would certainly be a blessing.
Yeah, of course. Monetary donations are always welcome and always very helpful. So we could, take take money, and big or small donations, everything helps to move toward that. Yeah.
And how would they, if someone was going to send a check or something like that how would they go about doing that? Would they make it out to the church or to the Hispanic
Make it out to the
ministry?
church and maybe
Okay.
write in the memo for Hispanic ministry. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the past, we did talk about, before Pastor Antonio and Pastor Jose, we talked about making it not just focused on Hispanic, but maybe a multicultural, multicultural ministry. But we kind of moved away from that. I think that might be more of a long-term goal.
Yeah.
Now we're focused more on the Hispanic community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a melting pot. There's no doubt
Yeah.
about it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think the focus of just the Hispanic community for right now and such,
Yeah.
that they get to get that going. We have just about 2 minutes. And I always want to give my guests the last word. So could you take 30 seconds or something like that, and just whatever else you would like our viewers and our listeners to know about this exciting ministry. Will, you want to go first and just kind of share any last thought?
Well, I was just going to say, it's kind of ironic that I'm the treasurer because I'm a juggler and a teacher, but I don't juggle my finances very well, which is why Brother Sanjay really helps out a lot, him being a CPA, and it was great initially why I reached out to him, knowing that I would need the help being the treasurer, and he's made it so easy. Like, I feel like I have a college degree in it. But so, yeah. But apart from that, I feel like we're doing good work here, and it's just building, and it's going to continue to gain momentum and increase.
Yeah.
That's my hope.
Yeah. That
And
is
my
the
prayer.
hope.
Yeah.
Sanjay, how about you? Last words.
I always love the technology aspect of things. So to add on what Will said, we do have PayPal as well set up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We have our Facebook page up and running, and our next step is to be under a link which will be set up under Endwell United Methodist Church's website. So everything is going like it should be, and that's another place to look if people are interested, is to go on our Facebook page, and they will see the events and everything else happening.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that is in a nutshell. So we're excited about the technology we have and accessibility to it.
You know, it's interesting you say that, because that's really where we are in ministry right now, with the technology, but it always has to be that personal relationship.
Yeah.
You know, it's one-on-one, and then multiplying that in creative ways. So
Yeah.
I just want to thank you both for your passion, for being open to where God is calling you in this ministry, and we continually pray for Pastor Antonio and Pastor Gina as they make their way from Utica, each week to come and relate with the people, that community in this area. And friends, I would ask that you please keep this in your prayers. If you'd like more information about this ministry, feel free to call the Endwell United Methodist Church at 607-754-5735, and I will connect you to one of these two gentlemen who would probably have more answers than I would. And of course, they would also welcome your gifts to help support this ministry going forward. Friends, have a great day and be kind to one another.